will. Yeah.
Welcome back to the second intro podcast where the entire playbook is open. I'm Josiah.
I'm Jacob.
Eli.
And I'm Hayden.
And as a reminder, for those of you who like to listen to audio only, the link for the Spotify will be in the description.
All right, two quick things. One, congrats. I'm not sure if you guys are aware. Episode number 50, the podcast, halfway to 100. Huh?
Happy
What a blessing.
century. Yeah.
Josie, are you wearing that outfit on purpose?
Because of what?
It just is giving Dwayne Johnson from the 80s right now.
I just need a fanny pack.
Yeah, I like it.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
It's the chain and the black shoe.
Yeah,
The jeans. I just need the jeans need to be like a lighter whitewash, and then I'd be set.
Mhm.
The fanny pack.
Right.
Mm.
You also need to be a little bit less strong. I think you got Dwayne Johnson beat right now.
Yeah.
You need to get a little scrawnier.
Well, I just need to get off the trend. You know,
Mm.
I've been trending for too long now.
Mm.
Yeah.
Too many steroids, just like Von Miller.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Just like every athlete ever.
Well, I feel like the jokes are on the table when you've been suspended for PEDs twice. Like, I feel like one time, like, all right, like, maybe it is a fluke. Because that's what they always come out and say whenever they're suspended. Like, oh,
The trainer gave me bad medicine.
it was this protein powder that's on the prohibited list.
Yeah.
Which, there are times where that's the case.
Yeah, I think like with D-Hop, didn't that happen in Arizona?
I was gonna say
D-Hop.
D-Hop had
Benjamin
twice.
Watson retired and was like on some protein, and then he unretired for that final year. New
It's all
England
a
got
lie.
suspended.
Mhm.
Exactly. Most of the times, I think it is. No, there are some times.
I don't know, man.
But
That's
he's
not what they're
he's
doing.
suspended twice now, so now he's fair game. We can say whatever we want.
I don't know if I've ever said this on the podcast, but I have this theory that any major sporting league will never test the players that get them the most money. I have this theory that LeBron James has been on PEDs his entire career. I have this theory that Tom Brady was on PEDs his entire career, but they would lose way more money if they tested them than they would be.
So
you
with
know.
baseball just doesn't fall in the category.
But they don't test anybody in baseball.
I don't know if I'm bought in on
It's
those.
Barry Bonds. They took so much flack for it that like they just have to make up for it, you know.
I mean, yeah.
Rest in peace, Pete Rose.
Well, he didn't do steroids, but that's a
Hey,
different
his
story.
lifetime ban is up. dead. His lifetime ban.
I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't get how you can, like, if you bet on yourself. I think I actually had a conversation with somebody at work about this today.
Mhm.
If you bet on yourself, I understand it's like it's the integrity of the game. Like, I understand, but that shouldn't be like how is that related to Hall of Fame? You didn't shave points and you didn't cheat.
No,
Like, you're
I don't
literally
disagree.
betting on
You think
yourself.
Calvin Ridley should have served this?
If you're bet on, no, I'm alright with like suspending. I think it like goes against the integrity of the game. I just think that the
Betting on yourself is a lot different
See,
than
but
point
Ridley never
shaving.
yeah,
bet on
that's
himself.
real.
Yeah.
Point
He
shaving
bet
should
on
be
the
a
Falcons
year out.
when he wasn't playing. It was like $1,200 or something.
And it's
that.
like you might know inside information. It should still be illegal,
Mhm.
but I don't know. I don't think it should be like
Inside
crazy
information's
suspension.
also so loose. Joe Burrow's dad, the year he won the Heisman, bet him to win the Heisman. And for people who weren't familiar with Joe Burrow's game prior to his final season at LSU, he was labeled as a game manager at best. He was viewed as his peak draft status being 5th round.
Mhm.
He would go on to be the Heisman winner, #1 overall pick, national champion, and one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Mhm.
So his dad had some sort of insider information there and won a crap ton of money. I forget the exact number, but like
What was
technically
Ridley's
that's
suspension? A year
It
or
was
plus.
So he got. It was a full year, and then he took off because of. No, he was off for his mental state. So he took like
yeah.
they put him on
And that's
IR
when
or
he
something
bet.
like that, and that's when he bet was that. So he didn't play for like over a year and a half.
Yeah, I don't think a year suspension.
It was
I don't
a-
think.
I mean, that's a
Yeah,
lot.
I think that's
Yeah.
for betting on. Again, if you're point shaving, you should be out of the league. I think,
Mm.
but other than that,
I think you should be able to bet on yourself for anything that's like positive. Like any of your
Overs.
overs, any overs, anytime touchdowns, like
then
How do
I'd
you
want
regulate
that public.
though?
I want.
Well,
I don't.
well,
like
it'd be
that.
really hard to regulate, but if I'm sitting there like you can't make the other team let you score.
I want that public then because then I know, like, if Aaron Rodgers bets on his over, I know they're throwing the ball 60 times.
yeah, and I think that's a
Just
key
get to check
point.
at the line every single play into a slant.
Into a fade.
Sign Michael Thomas, just throw slants all
Yeah.
day long. Make sure you get that 350.
Joe Burrow's dad bet $2,000 in the preseason for his kid to win the Heisman. It turned into $400K.
See, but
For
that's-
some reason,
that's
I
being
thought
a
it-
good dad. That's being a good
Yeah.
dad.
My dad didn't bet $2,000 on me winning my high school football
Did you-
game.
if
with
you
the
could find your
Heisman.
high school bookie.
He didn't see the potential. He was watching that film. He couldn't see it.
You would tell me you don't think LeVar Ball bet on his sons? For sure he did, and still does.
Well, also,
Lonzo coming back tonight, I think.
Is he really?
I think so.
Lonzo's washed.
Prayers for his knee.
That's fancy. Do what?
I said prayers for his knee.
speaking of washed, I don't think he's washed. Naples, you do. Amari Cooper traded to the Bills. That's just one of 3 trades now that we've already seen this Tuesday. By the time this episode comes out, we might see even more. Devontae obviously reuniting with Aaron Rodgers in New York, Amari to Buffalo, and then the least prestigious of the 3 transactions, Cam Akers going back to Minnesota, who actually traded for him last year. He did well in relief of Joe Mixon during his injury. Obviously, Mixon's coming back healthy. You still have Dameon Pierce, so he's going to be given a little bit of a kick out the door. So,
Yeah.
but I kind of like that these moves are being made prior to the trade deadline. We saw the trade deadline actually get moved back a week with the extended regular season, but it's a deadline-driven business. But if you know you have a need on your team, address it. If you're the Browns or the Raiders, your seasons don't really look like they're going anywhere, especially in the case of the Browns where you need to stockpile some picks to try and reload in the next few years.
Yeah.
Start doing it now. Okay, and I kind of respect it. I like it.
And honestly, like, I think that, I mean, maybe you guys had the same mindset when it happened, but, like, the fact that the Devontae thing happened today, and then right after that, the Amari Cooper thing happened, I think that the Bills were trying to work out a Devontae Adams trade, and when they saw that domino fall, they went with their backup plan, which is not a bad backup plan. Like, Amari Cooper is still a good route runner. You know,
I actually
Say
think it
George
might
Wimbush
work out
drops
better.
yeah, like, I think he's a better run blocker.
Yeah,
And if
he's
they're
so-
going to run the ball like they did on Monday night, last night,
That was
like,
impressive.
it was against a good defense.
And
Keon Coleman was run blocking really well too.
Not even just as a run blocker, he's a good enough and capable wide receiver 1. He comes in instantly and is the wide receiver 1
I
on
mean,
that team.
he's much better than any of the guys. And I like Khalil Shakir, but like
I
they
do
don't
too,
give
but
him-
he's not Amari Cooper.
Yeah, exactly. He's a good 2.
But Buffalo has tried to change the mindset because they've realized they can't score with Kansas City once they reach the postseason. They have one AFC championship appearance in the Josh Allen era, and that is unacceptable. Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott, eventually that's not going to be enough, and the Pagula family is going to give them their pink slip. Buffalo's chance of beating Kansas City or Buffalo or Cincinnati, Baltimore, any of those teams in the playoffs is going to be through running the football and through defense. Amari Cooper gives you a capable number 1 wide receiver, while you're also not going to have to force him like you would a Devontae Adams. You're not going to look at the stat line and be like, oh, Amari only has 3 targets in the first half. Devontae, that's going to happen. We all saw the wide receiver series. Bringing in Cooper helps the pass game while also allowing you to continue focusing on the run game.
For sure.
Yeah, like I don't mind it. I just don't love how reactive it looked. Like I think that like they need it. It's useful. I think a 3rd rounder is a little steep, to be honest. I don't think it's too bad. I just don't like how reactive it looks right after the Devontae trade. Like the Jets are basically giving up a 2nd rounder. I'm not sure exactly what the conditions are, but I'm guessing they're not too crazy.
They're a little crazy. He has
Really?
to be either first team All Pro
Or second team.
or
All-Pro.
second team All Pro, which he hasn't played
No.
much at all. So he's going to have to go off
Yeah, I don't think he's
on a
seen that.
pretty bad Jets team, or the Jets have to play in the AFC Championship or
Okay.
Super
Or
Bowl.
He's
So
And
if
he
you're
has to
gonna
be
play one
active.
of the two.
Yeah.
So the same compensation for Amari and Devontae, I don't think is great, and it happening like an hour after, I don't think looks great for the Bills. But I mean, if it works out, it works
My
out.
think
challenge to that would be, would Buffalo make a move for a wide receiver at the deadline regardless? If so, let's make the move sooner rather than later so he can get into the offense and start gaining a rapport with Josh Allen. In addition to that,
I don't hate it. I just was thinking more of like a 5th. I mean, as a Browns fan, I'm happy. I'm
The
just
cap
surprised
number
it
is
was a
not
3rd.
that
I
high.
would say the Browns got Amari for a 5th from the Cowboys, and
Might
now
have
we.
been a 6th, right?
I think it was a 5th. It could have been a 6th,
But his
but I thought it
contract
was.
was pretty massive,
No,
wasn't it?
No.
well, that was the thing. They thought that they were getting ahead of it because the contract was about to spike up. That same offseason, Christian Kirk signs for $20 million a year. All of a sudden, that Amari Cooper deal looks like a bar. Cleveland got great value out of Amari. They get two 1,000-yard seasons out of him, and then they get a 3rd round coming back, so they get a net profit
Yeah, 5th.
while also getting 2 1,000-yard
Yeah.
In a
seasons.
300-yard game.
Yeah.
Was it 300?
No, he was like 265.
It was high. It was high though.
I actually just seen a clip of all the top since 2020, like the most receiving yards from every AFC North receiver, and Amari Cooper was 2nd. Do you know who first was?
Jamar.
Yeah,
Jamar
Jamar had
had-
266.
Let's say he
Cooper
had
had 265.
Yeah. Well, he had 266 and 3 touchdowns against the Chiefs
Yeah.
in that last game of the regular season or playoff game, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm glad he's gone. We're not doing anything this year anyway. I mean, 12-5 still on the table. Next week, 11-6 will be on the table. So
Who else is available from the Browns?
everyone except for Miles, Denzel, Delpit, JOK, and Chubb,
I would push back a little bit.
and I guess Judy. I guess wouldn't be on the table, but
I think if you get the offer, so Chubb, I think if we're just gonna go one by one, Chubb I don't think has a trade value right now.
no, especially coming off an injury, and we
Yeah.
just restructured his deal too because
Yeah.
we wanted to keep him.
He's got to pass a physical too, and that's he's the Browns are going to let him play before a team would approve him for a physical.
Well, he's
Like,
playing
if
this week.
Is he playing this week?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
he
saw
already,
he
they
was
already,
close.
yeah, no, they said he was playing.
But
This
like, just because he's playing this week for the Browns doesn't necessarily mean he would pass a physical for a different team.
week.
Like they would be willing to put him on the field before a team would maybe necessarily trade. You need to trade to get
Yeah.
each other.
All right, so looking at Cleveland's depth chart, I'm just going to go through the guys who I think are untouchable. I think Deshaun's untouchable not because of
It's because
Yeah.
no one
Yeah.
would want
Yeah.
to touch
Well,
him.
it's because
Exactly.
he did too much touching. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Nick Chubb for the reasons we just laid out.
That was right there for you.
Yep. Nick Chubb, you said no. Yeah.
And then
I mean, Jedrick
and then
Wills
a-
is probably untouchable.
he's on a
a lot of-
contract here.
I mean, a lot of that line's probably untouchable, right?
I don't.
They've
Joel Bitonio's been playing
they're
since
not touching
2014.
anybody.
He's
They're
getting
just
old.
getting turned.
Yeah, but
I'm not
Joe
saying
Burrow-
that they should or will trade him, but I don't think he's untouchable.
Yeah, but Batonio is the longest active
It
player on that roster.
Doesn't matter. The
If
our
you get a
O-line's
third
terrible
round,
won't happen
anyway.
anyway.
Yeah,
Our
it's just a
O-line
waste
came
of
I'm not
off
saying it will
regardless, So I
happen,
mean,
but
you know, put whoever you want in there. Put the coach in there.
if you get a third,
Stefanski. Trade for Stefanski.
Stefanski is touchable.
like I truly think, honestly, anyone other than Deshaun and
Miles.
Chubb.
So Miles.
See, I was.
Once again, if we're talking like truly untouchable, I think that there's an offer that could let Cleveland move on.
I don't think
from.
it's.
I don't think
an
we-
honest offer from a team.
Well,
Like
you-
I don't think a feasible
See,
offer.
I think JOK is in that group based
Yeah.
on what he played last year. I actually, if you remember,
I would say
Yeah.
Jeremiah's
Well, I was
more
gonna say you
untouchable
got to
than
think about all the
Miles.
guys we just extended. Like we're not trading anyone that we just extended to be a part of our long-term plan. So like JOK, Delpit, Miles, Denzel's probably in that group because I think we move
If
on.
you get
from either
two
Newsom-
ones and a
Newsom or
three.
Emerson.
2 1s and a 3 for Miles.
So, like,
I'm
why
not
would
saying
we do
that you. What?
Like why would we do that though?
Because you guys need picks to rebuild. The roster's not good enough. I'm not
But
saying.
you're
I'm
not
not
gonna
asking.
give it-
Do you
you're not
have
gonna
to?
get
Do you
Miles
have to
in the
listen
draft.
to that? Do you have
You're
to
not
listen to that?
No,
I think you have to listen to that.
Depends
If
on who it
Detroit
is.
comes
Is it-
calling, if
I think you
Detroit
have to
comes
consider,
calling,
but Detroit's picks are going to be
Yeah, that's
30.
yeah, I was gonna
round.
say
They're
if
gonna
you,
be
I would
I'm not
say,
saying you
I
do
would
it, but
say
I think
you-
it's listen. I don't think he's untouchable at that point. I
I'd
think
say,
they'll
yeah.
take the phone call.
I'd say you'd have to think about a team that is gonna be
Top
that's
15.
gonna be like a top 7 pick this year, and that you think will have a top 5 pick the following year.
Which nobody's gonna do because
Which-
a team with the top
and,
7
yeah,
pick
and it isn't gonna trade for Miles.
Yeah.
So like, it's because that's not gonna help you. Because really, like the roster isn't great, but the roster isn't in full rebuild mode. So like, you're looking like you need a quarterback, obviously, who's like can be the Deshaun. Not looking like he's going to be in Cleveland much longer after this year. I hope he starts next year and we get the first pick next year. But like the defense is still young. Like The O line, we have a couple young receivers. Like
I mean, he's not getting cut. Not with that
No.
cap. Like he's just
No.
gonna rot on the roster.
Drew Waller,
Sure.
second round, baby,
Can
the
we,
boy from
can
Medina.
we talk about the 180 Naples has taken in the last 2 weeks?
it's not. I
Deshaun
still
Watson
think-
is entering his prime.
I
whoa.
still think he can get there, but there's no.
Shut up.
It's
You're-
almost
you're just
respectful
there.
how much of the you know what I mean? Like him.
I'm not
Like,
saying
I-
he's in his prime. I'm saying I think he has the ability to get there. But I mean, right now the season doesn't look great. Like there's no supporting cast at all. Like the worst in the league.
No, that's not true. Because you just said that it's not a rebuild roster. You can't have the worst supporting cast in the league, and at the same time,
You can
not
when they're
have it.
not playing like a good supporting cast.
Okay, that's different.
yeah, that
I
right.
would agree with that.
I don't.
I was
yeah,
gonna say, Amari
I mean the
Cooper
O line
is
is
not there
like
anymore.
atrocious pass blocking.
Yeah. But Amari Cooper was a top 5 pick. Jared Judy was a first round pick. A lot of that
Yeah.
line is 2 years removed from being the best line in
Yeah.
football.
I
Cedric
just think
Tillman
Chubb
and
is-
Elijah Moore, 2 second-round picks.
Yeah.
David Njoku, a first-round
I just
pick.
think it's hard to
Well,
say this isn't a rebuilding roster, and then right after say he has the
Well-
worst supporting cast in the league.
When healthy, every skill position on the Browns was a top 40 pick.
Yeah, well, when you look at that, if they're top 40 picks, but they're no longer with the team that drafted them, like there's a reason they're not there. So like,
And my
he can be a
challenge
top
to
pick.
you would be the Browns gave up substantial trade to get Elijah Moore. They gave up
Yeah.
not a ton of
What did
trade,
they
but then
trade
they
for
paid
Elijah?
Jerry Judy.
What did they trade for Elijah Moore? I don't remember. Was
Leave
it
a
third? Was it third?
Yeah.
So
we
I
don't even use him. It just
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know why we would bring him in. Like he's like the fourth receiver. Well, I guess he's probably third now, but
and those were the only 2 other than Cooper that weren't on their
yeah.
first team. So
But I mean, I don't think Judy or Moore is a 1. So like now we don't even have a 1 on the roster.
I mean, it's David Njoku.
they're paid.
Well, he's
David
tight
Njoku
end,
is the number one.
but he is the
You gotta
he is the
split-
one.
you
Judy's
Split
getting
on why?
paid like a fringe one.
Yeah.
Kinda. I mean, was it 3 for 33? I mean, that's
No, he's. Go ahead and keep talking.
is
He's
it not
making-
3 for 33? I thought it was 3
I
He's-
for
thought he was
33.
getting like 14. Or
He's
15
making
a
at
year.
least 15, I believe.
Okay, well maybe it was 3 for 45. I don't know. I could have swore it was like
3 for 52,
3 for 52.
41 guaranteed.
All right, a little more than I thought it was,
Yeah.
but still, I mean, he's not a 1.
No. Well, obviously, there's going to be a lot of talk about trade packages and things like that
Yeah.
leading up to the trade deadline. And obviously, we never want to see anybody get seriously injured, but I don't know if you guys saw the video. I'm sure you did. Aiden Hutchinson's injury is gruesome.
Oh yeah.
It's like, it's going to, in my opinion, it's going to stretch into next season. So, like, the Lions are still in win now mode. Like, they need to go out there and they need to get somebody. They need to get a good pass rusher, an edge rusher.
Yeah.
So I mean, in your guys' opinion, like, who's available?
I've
Like,
got
who should they call, and what should they give up in order to get this player?
I've got 2 names for you. The first one is the guy who doesn't want to play for the Jets and Hassan Reddick. Maybe the Lions will be willing to find a deal that'll work with them just to get him in the building.
Which is probably the most likely scenario. I want to
Yeah.
throw that out.
Which he's a sack merchant. Like, he's good.
Yeah.
He's good at what he does, but like that's what he does, and that's
Yeah.
what they need. They need a guy who's gonna go
Yeah.
get after the quarterback.
And-
They don't need a run stopper.
Yeah.
That's what Jack Campbell's for.
and
Like,
then the second name is actually someone on the Browns, the opposite of Miles is Zadarius Smith. Veteran guy. He can get you 7-8 sacks, like solid pass rusher, like just enough. Like obviously he's no Aiden Hutchinson, but he's enough of a replacement to make their their pass rush viable enough to like stay competitive, like in that Super Bowl.
My nuts for saying if I'm the Lions, I'm not going out and giving up compensation because I just think the NFL is so different. Like it is, I don't like how coaches abuse the term next man up, but like NFL is a next man up league where like you'll see guys come in and some dude will get 1.5 sacks in the next few weeks for the Lions that like just comes out and produces for a game. Like if I'm the Lions, I think teams get in trouble chasing like this where there's an injury or something happens or a holdout and teams just chase and chase and chase. And it's just NFL is such a different league where I'm not chasing and giving up any decent compensation to just try to plug and replace.
I mean, I think I agree, except for the fact that they're Super Bowl favorites right now.
They are.
And like you need in this NFL nowadays with the way it's set up, like you need a good pass rusher.
But if you're not getting a top 20 pass rusher,
But I think Hassan Reddick, when healthy, is still a top 20 pass rusher.
I think both of the names that Naples laid out, especially Reddick, would be very much.
what do you think the comp comp is to give up for those guys?
Probably like a fourth.
The
Fifth.
the Jets and Reddick are a weird one because the Jets gave up a third, so you're almost like trying to see. You're playing a game of chicken because the Jets were stupid for trading for Reddick without a contract, and Reddick at this point has dug himself in a hole so deep where no matter what he does, the solution's not going to make him look good. So the Reddick one is just weird. Like, you're not going to get a third for Reddick. I think a fourth would be enough. I'm not sure if they can get that. Zadarius Smith, I think you're looking at a fifth tops, probably.
Yeah, I would agree. Fourth, fifth.
Which both of that for the Lions, I think
Oh
would
yeah, I
be
think
worth it.
that's
for sure.
fine.
Before I go, are you going to name out the blockbuster one that's been thrown out there by the media?
I'm not sure if I know that one.
Max Crosby.
Oh yeah, I did hear that one. That's
Which,
right.
similar to the Myles Garrett thing, I think that there is a certain offer where you have to listen if you're the Raiders, but the Raiders, kind of like Cleveland, like you need to sell tickets, so I don't think it will happen, but I do think that there's an offer where you at least have to pick up the phone. By the way, Max Crosby and Aiden Hutchinson would be the scariest edge rushing duo maybe of all time.
Yeah.
That's nuts. I'm going to go, I kind of agree with you, Eli, like, I don't want to mortgage the future or overpay for somebody. Like, I'm not giving up a third rounder or more for Reddick, especially when he hasn't played football in half a season almost. I liked both of Naples' ideas. Zadarius Smith, I think for the compensation it would take, especially a Cleveland team that, as we just laid out, is going to be selling. What if we stick in the AFC North? Coming out of the draft a few years ago, I wanted Detroit to do a very Dan Campbell-like thing. A very fan-pleasing acquisition where they would draft Aiden Hutchinson in the first round and David Ojabo in the second round. David Ojabo, people forget, was a lock to go in the top 15. He tears his Achilles during his pro day.
Gruesome.
He falls all the way to the second round, gets drafted by the Ravens, which, by the way, the Ravens, that draft class, were nuts. Tyler Linderbaum, him, Kyle Hamilton, they knew what they were doing. Ojabo hasn't done much in the NFL. And I'm going to pull up the Ravens depth chart. You have Odafe Owe. You have Kyle Van Noy, who is playing the best football of his career right
insane.
now.
Yeah, he's killing it.
Van Noy, who I was always a fan of, especially with the Patriots, kind of a versatile edge rusher, off-ball linebacker. Baltimore has let him just pin his earbags and go after the quarterback, and it has resulted in what's going to end up being back-to-back double-digit sack seasons. You also bring in Yannick Ngakoue, who had a sack. Adisa Isaacs there when healthy. If I'm Baltimore, once again, you're not going to get much compensation, but send Ojabo back home to Michigan. Let him play, not with his former teammate, at least until next year. But I kind of like that. That might be a little bit of a fan service vote of mine, but I like it. David Ojabo.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of uncertainty with that one, but I do think that the talent is there. Like, I think Ojabo was talented. So, now for mine, I don't think that a trade in the NFC is going to happen. Just because nobody's going to trade a talented guy to the Lions just so that the Lions can absolutely hornswallow them in the playoffs. Like, it's just not going to happen. So I do believe it's going to be from the AFC if it happens. There's a couple of guys' names that pop up when I'm, scrolling down through the teams. Obviously, there's, like we mentioned, the Max Crosby. I think from that division, an interesting one, but a really, really terrible cap situation is Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa has like one more season left after this, and he's been severely underperforming, I would say, for a while. Can't really stay healthy. You'd have to pass a physical, which is a big question mark right now because he's still coming off of an injury. I think it's interesting, and I think it would be really fun to see, but I don't think that one's realistic. Going down to the AFC North, we've kind of picked through that division already, but the name Alex Highsmith popped up with the 49ers. Again, injured guy and would have to pass a physical in order for it to happen, and I don't think that with
Especially with Nick Herbig being
on
out
IR,
with Miami.
I don't think that's going to
Is
happen.
he on IR?
He went on IR at least 4 games. Yeah. The Steelers are so thin at a position that they were so stacked at 3 weeks ago. But
they're thin at every position. Do you see who their running backs were? They have a Harvard running back as their RB2 right now. It's Sorry, continue.
Yeah, no,
Pretty much Champlin.
Yeah.
So as I'm going down through looking at teams that are struggling right now, and who are going to be in an interesting situation coming in a few years. I looked at the Jacksonville Jaguars. They just signed Josh Hines Allen to a contract. You have a guy who's a budding superstar. I know you're a big fan of him. Trayvon Walker is sitting there as the guy who was a first overall pick, who you could get a lot of draft capital for right now. And if you're the Lions on that side, yeah, you're giving them a lot, but why not pull a Rams and go out there and trade away first-round picks to get a guy who can be opposite Aiden Hutchinson? Imagine Aiden Hutchinson and Trayvon Walker on opposite
I
sides
love
of the
it,
field.
but that's such Madden, getting the top 2 picks in the draft
So,
just 3 years later. I think Josh Allen Hines would be more realistic, even with the new
He just
contract.
he just got paid.
I
he's
like
not gonna
absolutely
be-
love it for both teams. It's just like I feel like I've talked about this last year during like around the trade deadline. It's just like the baseball fan in me. Sometimes I bring this up. The baseball fan in me wants it to be like baseball trade deadline. It's just like buyers, sellers, crazy trades and stuff like that. Especially like 1 year guys, just rentals. Like I wish the NFL had more of that.
To be fair, they're shifting pretty hard towards that.
It is, but
becoming-
not like that.
Yeah,
Like that's something you'd see in baseball.
Yeah.
Like a guy that's like a top guy you're going to get in baseball to be prospects instead of draft picks. But like I wish there was more of that, but I don't blame NFL teams for not doing more of it. If I'm the Lions, I'm a big screw draft picks guy. Win now if you have the team to do it.
Which
don't,
they do.
Right,
for
don't
sure.
build and especially if you Trayvon's a stud, go get Trayvon instead of like going and then you're going to have a couple like 18th or 30th picks that
Yeah.
could totally not pan out. If you're going to have a surefire edge, like go get them
Yeah,
and
for
then
sure.
pay them.
Yeah, I agree.
Looking at Detroit's internal options, it is rough. It's a shame that Yannick Ngakoue just came off the market because.
But then James Houston's going to get like 1.5 sacks in a couple weeks, and people are going to be like, "Who's this stuff?"
But not
Mason Hutch?
no. James Houston and Josh Pascal, both higher draft picks, both young guys who have shown promise. But after that, you're going down to Levi Onwuzurike and Isaiah Thomas, who I've never heard of.
Levi.
So I was trying to.
I was going to say,
I was trying to
you got to
sell
make
it.
them.
I was trying to sell it a little bit. But so they need help no matter what. Where even if you're not going to go out and get the superstar, you need somebody. And to be honest, edge rusher was a need of the Lions before Aiden Hutchinson went down.
Yeah.
But so
One more name from the same division, Harold Landry III from the Titans. Terrible,
Right, yeah,
really
cheap.
struggling team. Guy who at his peak has been really, really good.
I would love if it was just true buyers and sellers, and let's get trades done.
So
Be so
I think
fun.
we named a lot of the guys from the AFC that are even potentially targeted
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
So
it's you also have to weigh in. The Titans, I think that Rand Carthon would be okay. He's still new enough in his tenure, but the Jaguars, Doug Peterson seemingly is going to get fired after the Patriots game. It seems like they kept him one more week simply because they had another game in London, and that would have messed up their
that
schedule.
would suck.
Trent Baalke, like, if I'm Trent Baalke, one, he might not even be the GM at the time of the trade deadline, but are you going to trade away one of your best players knowing that you might not see the fruits of that labor come in, and it might be someone else working with the draft picks? Like, it is a prideful thing, and if
So stupid.
Yeah.
why? I don't think it's stupid. I don't
Because-
want to put you my successor in a position to do better than I did.
Yeah, but it's the same thing with like 99% of the things we argue about. This is like pride gets in the way so much in the NFL instead of where
That's
like,
not the NFL. That's life.
yeah, but I mean, just like so many of the issues that we have that we talk about in the NFL, like I think comes down to that, and like when we talk about hiring and firing coaches, and we talk about coordinators, and we talk about draft picks, like when it all comes down to it, it's like people just don't want to give up on their babies, and at some point you have to cut ties and try to go win games instead of just praying that something that has never, like almost the Browns with Deshaun, honestly.
Yeah.
It's like at this point, it's going to be a pride thing for the Browns and how much longer they hold on to Deshaun. At some point, you got to
Jimmy
cut your
has
ties.
him.
Right, it doesn't work. Cut your ties and stop. Like every week that this goes on, or year that this goes on, you're just going to get worse and worse. At some point, you got to cut it. Say this sucks. It didn't work, and let's move on and win games.
Yeah.
Yep.
While we're in this lull, I'll go into my special teams moment of the week.
Yes.
So there was a bunch again. The past couple weeks have been great. Maybe I don't know if I'm paying attention more. I pay attention to special teams usually. I think we're getting lucky. So a couple shout outs. Myles Garrett blocked field goal,
Yeah.
returned for a touchdown. I wish it would have mattered more. That was like, can you imagine just Myles Garrett, like just that video of him sprinting, like that scares the crap out of me. We have Steelers blocked a punt. Danny Smith, special teams coordinator for the Steelers. He's from Meadville. Again, I hate the Steelers, but I love like just about everything they do. Danny Smith, best in the game, special teams coordinator. And then we've got Hayden wanted me shout out Pitt Panthers, not my special teams of the week, but Ben Saul's the kicker, hit a 58-yarder that ended up being the game winner for Pitt.
And Pitt's punter's on the raid guy watch list.
After Cal missed a 40-yarder to
Pitt's
lose
special
the game,
teams, amazing.
And the winner is, and this is the main reason it didn't work out, but we've seen different, like onside kicks is a dying thing in football. Like we're not going to, the percentage of successful onside kicks is going to go down. South Carolina down to Bama. They bring their punter out. I've seen it a bunch of times where you see a punter try to do a drop kick and get the roll, and then it just like flies out of bounds, doesn't go 10 yards. We've seen, I think it was Boswell do like the behind the leg. Like there's just so many fancy things kickers do, and then it goes 5 yards, and you're like, oh, that was boring. They didn't even have a chance. We got Kai Kroger for South Carolina. Look it up. Drop kick punt for the onside kick. Craziest spin you've ever seen. Right in Bama's chest, hits off his chest. The spin was so nasty, hits off him, goes to another guy. Bama has an easy recovery. Spin is still nuts, hits off his chest. South Carolina recovers, doesn't finish, but like, again, you just see so many fancy onside kicks that just never work and look awful. But Kai Kroger, they probably practiced it thousands of times. Great job, dude, and shout out Kai Kroger, South Carolina. Shane Beamer Ball, special teams. Back to Frank Beamer at BT. So Beamer Ball, special teams. They lost, but oh well.
Love a good special teams.
Yeah, I do.
For the brand. Alright, we'll pivot a little bit because I think that we could talk all day about these trades and potential trades and what could happen. And realistically, most of them aren't going to happen, but it's nice to hypothesize about what could be. Transition a little bit. So we are officially, so if you remember 2 weeks ago, we talked about being about a quarter of the way through the season. We are now officially a third of the way through the season. Through the end of week 6 is 1/3 of the way through the season. So we have a little bit of football under our belt. We have a little bit of statistics, things like that going on. Question this for you guys. In your opinion, the best and worst free agent signing of the season, or of the offseason?
I'm going to cheat a little bit. He was a free agent. Just he didn't change his teams. Baker Mayfield has been amazing. And I think we were unanimous probably in the fact that the Bucs should keep Baker Mayfield. Yeah. But then you get him at a pretty bargain price, and he comes out and has played MVP level football. Just amazing. The Bucs have continued where they left off last year in the divisional round loss to Detroit.
There's a couple guys that come to mind as far as good signings, but I think Aaron Jones with the Vikings was one of the more underrated signings. Like, you know, in the division, like that obviously gives you a little bit of an edge, like as a guy, if like, you know, playing in the same division but on a different team, and he fits their scheme so well. Like Kevin O'Connell's got the Vikings rolling, like they look like an absolute buzzsaw. Like he just what he adds in their ground game and their play action scheme that opens up the rest of their offenses to be successful, I think was one of the better signings, especially for a running back to be like one of the better signings. I think was really good for them.
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to go with one that I'll credit that I think a lot of people love that I didn't like, and that was Derrick Henry to the Ravens. I didn't hate it, but I didn't think that he would. Like, obviously, they want to run the ball. It's going to complement their offense. I just thought he's old. He's not going to get as much production as you might a younger guy that you're not going to have to spend as much. But he's panned out so far, so credit to the Ravens, credit to Derrick Henry. It's cool to see.
Yeah.
Hopefully it keeps going. Hopefully he stays healthy.
Yep, absolutely. He's on track to be Offensive Player of the Year again. So.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have thought that anything close to that would have happened.
Yeah. I mean, last year it looked like he lost a step, and then this year it looks like he's prime Derrick Henry again. So. I'm going to cheat a little bit too. I'm going to go one AFC, one NFC because I couldn't decide between the two. AFC, J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, he's been good.
He has been a revelation since he came to the Chargers. And, like, you saw splashes I feel like a little bit with the Ravens. But,
Every
like,
time he's healthy, he averages 6 yards per carry.
Remember when Eckler was like 1-1?
Mhm. Oh yeah. I mean, that one again kind of speaks for itself. He led the league in rushing, I think, up until their bye week, or he got until they came up against the Steelers when the Steelers absolutely crushed their run game. He was leading the league in rushing. And then the one from the NFC is, say what you want about it, it's Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold taking that team to 5-0, being an absolute again animal. For whatever reason, we don't know. Like, who knows if J.J. McCarthy would have done a similar thing, if he's more talented, what the situation is, how good Kevin O'Connell's system is. Sam Darnold is 5-0 with the Vikings, so this kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah.
So, worst.
I'm gonna, since we're cheating on this a little bit, I'm gonna go Dallas not signing anybody is the worst signing for them because they need pieces. Like, they should have been one of the teams to sign one of these free agent running backs.
They signed Ezekiel Elliott and their long snapper.
Okay, so they didn't sign anybody. Zeke gets like 5 carries a game and
Yeah,
he gets
Zeke's
like 4
complaining
yards.
about it.
But like, they should have been one of the teams going after Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry. Like, they should have been going after one of these guys, and yet Jerry Jones didn't write that check. He didn't write no checks for anybody, and now their offense is struggling because of it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep.
I'm gonna go with one. So the first one I didn't like, and it is working out. The second one I didn't like, and I still don't like it, and that's Calvin Ridley. I mean, he had one good game. I just think like it's not even anything against Calvin. It's just I hate Will Levis so much that like you're gonna have to have a decent quarterback to get you the ball, and they just don't have that at all. So I don't understand. Like, it's nice to say here we're gonna go get you weapons, Will, but like if your quarterback's that atrocious, it doesn't matter if you're gonna get them great weapons. Like, what's the point of signing a crazy good receiver if you have one of the worst quarterbacks in the league?
Well, he's trying to win like comeback player of the year, like in the same year. It's like just being he's just trying to sandbag the first half. Come
Okay,
back.
gotcha.
He had us in the first half.
Yeah, exactly.
But
If he's just setting up for
if
a
his
nice
completion
TikTok
percentage is
edit.
about like 52%, he might be on track for the Hall of Fame. So
Hey, you know, if he gets 4% completion every year, it's a little better.
Oh. Mason Rudolph needs to play football for them.
For
The Titans.
Titans.
Yeah.
He looked okay when he came in. He was fun.
just Will Levis, it's just such a joke.
I am kind of relishing in the fact that the Titans have been a complete and utter failure since firing Mike Vrabel. That was something. Losing him and Pete Carroll in the same 24 hours was tough for me.
Sorry, before you go, I have a genuine question. Is A-Rich back this week?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think they said he was back.
He was technically the emergency third quarterback this past weekend.
Yeah.
So I assume he
Just in
plays
case.
this
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
because
they
so
said he was
McAfee
back.
had Joe Flacco on, and McAfee, like the whole episode was like, yeah, like I still think Richardson is the future, but Joe Flacco's gonna win games. Like, let him sit. Like, who cares? Like, we're a competitive team ready to win now. And they have Flacco on the episode. 20 minutes after Flacco gets off the phone call with them, Schefter tweets out that Anthony Richardson is starting. So.
November 17th, night game in New York against the Jets. Anthony Richardson goes down again, mark it.
We know that MetLife turf.
Yo, why are you
I'm
picking
not-
games
it's
for him to go down?
I said that he was going to get injured within the first 4 or 5 weeks. He got injured within the first 4 or 5 weeks.
You're
I said if
manifesting his
he doesn't get
downfall.
injured in the first 4 or 5 weeks, he's getting hurt in New York. He's coming back and he's going to get hurt in New York.
That's rude.
Speaking of injury
He's
prone,
wishing on people.
I'm not wishing. I hope he's healthy, but it's
Yeah.
not going to happen.
No.
speaking of injury prone and delusional fans, Chase Young to the Saints.
That's valid.
Yeah, man.
That
Dude,
speaks
he
for
is-
itself.
I bet the under on his sack total so fast,
Yeah.
and that might be the best bet I've ever made. I should have bet my
Hammered.
life savings
Yeah.
on it, but yeah.
He was somebody that I was okay with people using the term generational talent for out of college.
He was so good.
He was.
Such
He
a
was
game
amazing.
record.
He was even good his first year with
Defensive Rookie of the
Washington.
Year his first year.
There were
Yeah.
rumblings.
7 sacks, but
There were
It's
rumblings that
ridiculous.
he was going to be better than both Bosa brothers.
Yeah, I thought he was.
Yeah. I mean, dude's
He
a
was in
freak.
college.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like 6'5", like built. He's built like DK on crack.
You're right.
on
Dude,
crack.
he is. Dude, have you seen
But
Chase
doesn't
Young?
that make him like really skinny if
Yeah,
he's on
crack.
crack?
That's why,
Naples, don't listen to him.
that's
I
why
like
it's
it.
light crack. It's not crack. It's light crack.
Naples, I like it. You're good. Josie?
my cheat one for this one, because it was actually a trade in the offseason, Hassan Reddick.
Hold on. You made this segment. You made this segment. And you're...
Yes, sir.
All right, continue.
But my actual one, again, I'm just remembering this is a trade to Deontay Johnson
So
to the Carolina Panthers.
Josie
thing with
Josie
Wait, that's a
texted
good
out
one,
the
though.
segments.
Actually,
Josie
yeah.
made the
He's
segments
been
for
fine
this
there.
I'll
episode.
tell you. You ready? All right. So
Deontay's
here's the
been
reason I think that Deontay Johnson.
Because Dante Jackson has been amazing.
Dante Jackson has been absolutely incredible, and he. Okay, so this was going to be something that I talked about later with the next category that we talked about. But what do you think that Dante Jackson's allowed passer rating is for the season?
Like 35,
Lower,
22.
27.6. He's allowed a 27.6 passer rating. He has 3 interceptions. He's tied for 3rd in the league.
On pace to get 9.
On pace to get 9, which will blow away. Statistically, he's having what will be his best career year. He has been absolutely locked down this season for the Steelers. And when you look at the fact that, yes, Deontay Johnson the last 2 weeks has been really good, right? If you look at his statistics, he is 3rd in the NFL in targets. He has as many targets as CeeDee Lamb and more than Drake London, DK Metcalf, Chris Godwin, Malik Neighbors, Stephon Diggs. He has more targets than all these guys, but he has significantly less yards than all of them. He only has 340 yards in the season and 3 touchdowns. As far as his explosive plays, I had it on here a second ago, but it's nothing to write home about. He's exactly what he was with the Steelers.
Yeah.
He has 20.
Hold on. There's also a real chance that he ends up getting traded again. So.
Yeah. He has 29 receptions on
Bring him
50.
to the Browns.
He has 29 receptions on 55 targets.
Yeah.
I'm just for fun. I looked up. I'm on Next Gen Stats. Who do you think leads the league in average separation?
Deontay.
It's on Carolina.
Oh, is it Leggett?
No,
No.
Is it Jadavion? Let's go!
5.3 yards per
And
second.
he still is a good target.
He had a
Hey, you know,
career
he had a-
game.
he
He had
had a
like
nice
5
game.
catches for
Yeah.
49 yards
Hey,
this
I'm
past
telling
week.
you, he's
He's
their
about to break out.
ex-receiver.
He's about to break out.
It's like-
He's about to break out, dude.
To
Let's
be
go.
fair, it's like all tight ends at the top, so separation probably really tight ends are probably.
But he's doing it at an
because
elite level.
they're
Hey,
got
Should have been the
linebackers.
32nd pick to the Chiefs.
Hey, guess what? Brock Bowers ain't getting that kind of separation. Dude, he's so
Brock
good.
Bowers as well.
He's not even
Hey,
close
kind of
up
to
there.
pivot back to a good one though, Xavier McKinney. We talked about interceptions with John Davis. I think Xavier McKinney, he has a pick in every game.
He has
Or at
5.
least-
He has
yeah.
5 picks.
Yeah, I think he
5
has,
and 6 games,
5 and 6
but then
games.
6 takeaways.
Yeah.
yeah, I was gonna
So,
say he's
yeah.
been absolutely killing it for their defense.
Mhm. And that just seems to happen when they leave the Giants. So
Calvin Ridley has the lowest catch percentage. He has 9 catches on 27 targets. But I wonder
He's
how
even
much
10
of that is
catches
on
the
Will.
season.
Did you hear the reporter
Through week
start
5,
to fight
sorry,
back?
through week 5. Doesn't count this past week.
The reporter at his post-game press conference started to push back a little bit because he was complaining about targets, and then she was like, "Oh, well, you had so-and-so targets," and then he got all mad because he finished this past week with 0 catches, just in case you guys didn't know, and he had 8 or 9 targets, I believe, and he was like, "No, I need targets at the beginning of the game," which, to be fair, is partially correct. It is easier for a receiver to get going, but that's hilarious that the reporter called him out and was like, "Yeah, you actually got 9 targets."
Good for reporters.
Yeah.
Journalism.
Yeah. All right. So, again, it's fun to kind of look back at players that we might have thought of. Jeez, if I could speak, whom we might thought we're gonna have a big impact, or we thought we're gonna have
He's
a big
thinking about
impact. or
JT
not.
Sanders.
I can't
Yeah.
speak right now.
Ever
yeah.
since that one stat.
And they either live up to those expectations or they don't, or they just
0
bad,
catches
but-
on 8 targets is nuts.
Who is it?
Calvin
Yeah,
Ridley.
He had 0 catches for 8 targets. Week previous, or 2 weeks previous, they had a bye. 1 catch on 3 targets. Week
Listen,
before
he's
that, 1
pissed he
catch on
bet the
3
over.
targets.
His over-under was 4.5 catches, and he bet the over.
0 on 8 targets. I really want to see it. I'm going to go back and watch those throws because I really want to see if it was Levis.
No.
Probably not.
So I guess that might be your most surprising statistic. So the next category we want to talk about real quick was just something statistically that has really surprised us this season. I'll go first because this actually was sparked from me looking at some wide receiver stats when I was looking up the Deontay Johnson. So I'm gonna have you guys try to guess the top 5 in this category. Most 40+ yard receptions this year.
Alec Pierce.
Alec Pierce is number 1. I was shocked. Obviously, it makes sense when you think about it, like
Hey,
what he's
Richard's
done.
just
But
gonna bomb.
he has 5 catches of 40+ yards this year, and he stands alone at the top of the league with that number. Which, hey,
Uh-huh.
shout out wide receivers. But can you guys
Hey.
guess the next 4 on the list?
Sorry, repeat the stat category.
40+ yard catches.
Who's the guy on the Aints? Who like had
Rashid Shaheed.
yeah, that guy.
He
The
is
first
number,
like 2 weeks.
He's number
So
4. So you have 1 and
Uh-huh.
4.
No, he's been doing really good.
Well, he has 3.
Oh, okay.
Which I think they were all like 70-yard touchdowns.
Yeah.
Brian Thomas.
It was not Brian Thomas.
Just trying to pick out I'm trying to think of one play.
Brian Thomas has
Just
2.
right with that receiver.
So it's a
So
big
3.
tie at 2. There's
Who had
a
the-
lot.
Who
Who
players
had the
with
Hail
2.
Mary yesterday?
Alan Lazard.
Lazard.
Lazard, though. That's a good guess, but Lazard is.
He has at least one.
It might just be that
Might be
one
that
because I'm
one.
not seeing it.
Probably.
I'll refresh the page just in case.
Zay
it's
Flowers?
Not Zay Flowers.
No. I know he had a couple big games.
He's had a lot of like 10 to.
Is there an
15
obvious one that we're missing?
Yes.
Jefferson.
No.
Chase.
Chase, yes, he's number 2. That's the obvious one. So he has 4. Alec Pierce has 5. The other 3 guys, which you guessed Shaheed already, they all have 3.
Not Amon Ra.
Jameson Williams?
Yeah,
Jameson
J-Mo.
Williams.
I
Jalen
don't know why
Tolbert.
he slipped my tongue.
There's one other guy.
CeeDee Lamb?
Once you hear it, it's gonna be obvious because he's had an absolute
DK.
insane season. DK is on here. He's at 2.
Malik Neighbors?
Uh-uh.
Oh.
Malik Neighbors is
Nico Collins.
Nico?
Nico Collins has 2, so he's at the top. Him and AJ Brown are at the
2,
top
but-
of the 2s.
You said this guy's had an insane season.
Yeah, especially for
Where he's at.
he has 27 receptions for 442 yards and 3 touchdowns. He has 8 receptions of 20+ yards and 3 receptions of 40+. He's had a really, really good season.
It's on your favorite team, Naples.
It is. Did you look it up? Yeah.
I had the receiving stats pulled
Yeah.
up, so it was pretty easy.
It's on a team that you thought was going to have like 3 wins this season.
You're gonna give me $20 and
Oh, is it Jaden
It
Reed?
is
Yep.
Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed's had an
Such a monster at Michigan
Yeah.
State.
and he said
They
such
had
a
him
low-key
and Keon
huge
Coleman.
season. Yeah.
How do you have Keon Coleman and Jaden Reed and Kenneth Walker and
Not do anything?
They
Yeah,
only, the Packers
they
only
did
have
not
3
do
wins
anything.
right now. They need 5.
they weren't that
They had a
good?
big win against Pitt
and
without Kenneth.
the Packers
Without
need 5
Kenny,
more for you
without
to get
Kenny
to 20.
Pickett.
Without Kenneth. Kenneth
And-
was the biggest, one of the most.
Pitt was on
game-changing
their
running backs I've
third
seen in
string
college.
quarterback, and Michigan
a
State
stud.
still needed a Connor Hayward amazing splash play. Just saying. And a pick 6 at the end. I digress.
Alright,
No
so that
Kenneth.
was my interesting stat so far.
All right, I'm going something I've talked about a lot. Check down Pat Mahomes, 5 yards and 7 intended air yards, lowest, second lowest. Average completed air yards, only behind Tua, 3.6. Again, all credit to Andy Reid. I just again, Chiefs keep winning, so it's nothing against the Chiefs. It's just something that would shock me if you told me at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Not that they aren't pushing the ball down the
Mhm.
field, that wouldn't shock me, but the fact that it's
A
the
lot more
lowest
yak.
in the league.
A lot more yak than actually airing
Yeah.
it.
And just low
Yeah,
yards,
which is
period.
great, yeah.
And he's first in MVP, which I think is it's Mahomes.
He's not
so
gonna
that's
win
going
it,
to carry it, but that's
I think
ridiculous. that
he's going to
first in
lead
odds
that
right
for
now.
most of it, but I feel
That's
like he's
stupid.
not.
They're
So
undefeated.
stupid. I don't
Yeah.
get how you bet on Mahomes to win MVP
But-
right now.
I got a nice stat for him, and we talked about it probably before a little bit, but 26 straight third downs, 0 for 26 for the Browns. I mean,
Yeah, that's a good one.
historically
That's a
bad.
good one.
I don't. The numbers that they're putting up are historic. They're just all bad.
You guys
numbers.
could hire Matt Canada, and the offense would be upgraded.
Well,
I don't know about that.
I mean, when
we
you
see a
sit
lot
here-
more jet
I'm
motions.
sure- You want to
26.
hear another bad stat? The league on average gets what is it? I think they get a sack on 3% or something like that. Or no. On penalties, last year the Browns were 3% of offensive plays they had a penalty, which was top or bottom, top 12 in a good way last year. They lead the league with 9% of their plays So almost 1 out of 10 plays almost
So if
they
you go
get
on
a
a
penalty.
20 play drive, you're probably having 2 penalties.
Yeah.
That's
Like-
nuts.
It's just like they're putting up great historical stats. They're so bad. We're getting sacked on 23% of our dropbacks. It's like 1 out of 4. So pretty much, you can guarantee we're getting sacked on like our every drive.
That's wild.
Yeah, and that's why we are 0 for 26 on third downs because they're all our average distance is like 12 yards, which is nuts.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I almost text you guys to say, hey, while Naples is doing this rant, let's just not say anything and just stare at him when he's done with the little rant to get like another Browns rant because I like when you go
Just
on this
pile
rant,
on.
so I can stop
Just
him
keep
and just look at
adding
you
on.
and then you talk about something else with the Browns. I like it. Little vent
Hey,
I feel like we
session.
need to like snap when you're done.
But hey, we'll have
Poetry.
some more stuff I'm sure next week. My fantasy team's got better. My deep leagues that I have Judy in, he'll at least probably see more targets. You'd think.
You think?
I mean,
Unless the Browns come out and run the ball.
I mean, I've got
60% of the
Njoku.
time,
I've got
which you're
Njoku in a
hoping for.
couple leagues too, so his value went up. He is the chief. Yup. I bet you he probably wishes he was on the Chiefs.
He's been crazy.
You know he's been in the league for like 8-9 years, and he's like 28. It's because he came in the league at like 20.
Yeah, him, Evan
Miami.
Ingram, and OJ Howard.
O.J. Simpson.
The juice
Fuck
is
it.
loose, baby. The
Mhm.
juice is loose.
Yeah.
Eli, I'm disappointed that you didn't choose a special team stat.
I almost thought because there's been like some when I was checking stats again. I think Titans punter had 75 yarders. So I almost looked at like how many 70+ yarders because there's been quite a
The
few.
Browns.
Shout out Ryan Stonehouse. Also, shout out Chris Boswell, who is 16 of 17 on kicks this year, with his one miss being a 62-yarder at Ackershore. Boswell has been insane. He is also perfect on extra points. That's not what this stat has to do. If he stays on the trajectory that he is currently at, he is on pace to kick 45 field goals through the uprights. He would be the third kicker ever to get 40 field goals in a season, joining Neil Rackers, I believe his name was, with the Cardinals, who I had forgotten about completely, and then Dan Carlson, who did it just a few years ago, the Rich Bisaccia, John Gruden year.
What's the most field goals ever made
It is, I believe, 41.
I
in a
wonder.
season?
41 in a season, and Boswell's on
Oh, so
pace
he
for
could break it.
45.
I wonder what the record is for.
But it's not like Boswell's
And that's
hitting
including
chip
like,
shots right
That's
now.
what I was gonna say. I wonder what the record is for 50+ because he had 3 in the first week and he's 6 for 7 right now. And
But
that's
that
what-
one being the 62-yarder.
And he was 6 for 7 last
There
year.
were so many missed kicks in the last night's game, man.
But
yeah.
shout out
It was
Chris
super windy,
Boswell.
but still.
His record is 8 for his career. Like it can't be much higher than like what 12 for the
Probably.
record 50+.
Yeah.
Especially think like a decade ago, 50-yarders weren't getting these.
Yeah, you weren't even really attempting those. Teams are more likely to punt it or go for it.
55 was like, whew, like 10 years ago.
And then Justin Tucker made that 66 against the Lions, and everyone started going out their minds.
AI says 10. Blair Walsh and Justin Tucker. Tucker in 2016. For
People
50
forget
yards or
Blair
more.
Walsh was so good.
He was very good.
Do you know who was the all-time record for career for 50+ field goals?
I just looked it
Tucker.
up.
I seen it, so I'm not gonna guess.
It's only you who can guess Hayden.
Yeah, sorry.
Vinatieri.
Sebastian Janikowski.
That
Seabass.
makes sense.
54 50+ yard field
I
goals.
mean, the Raiders have historically had some pretty good special teams players out there.
Ray Guy, Shane Leckler.
He's got the
Seabass
Presley
and,
Harvin the third build.
It's crazy. Seabass is the third best kicking specialist on the Raiders of all time.
Seabass, and then they had Marquette King was there too.
Mm.
He was
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
good.
In week
And now Daniel Carlson and
Yeah,
AJ Cole,
Carlson,
so they're still
AJ Cole.
going strong.
in week 1, kickers made 21 field goals, 50+.
No. I remember
Kickers dropped off these
21.
last few weeks, man. Kickers
In
have just been
16
missed.
games.
Did you see that kick? The Bills kicker shanked one.
And that's your
It
point,
was like
yeah.
he was just,
Greg Zerline hit 3 posts,
oh,
right?
hey, that's impressive.
Yeah, you couldn't do that
Triple
again if
doink.
you tried. It's easier to make them then.
Triple
Yeah.
doinker.
Yeah. All right.
And shout out Ryan Barker for Penn State for hitting that one in overtime, former walk-on.
Yes, sir. One thing I want to wrap up with today, a little trivia question. This is the one that I had for last week.
Let's go.
It is a top 10 list.
All right.
Okay, so
We're gonna clear easy.
I think we're gonna run through it, but then
Am I
there's gonna
allowed
be
to
a couple of
participate
extra
in this one?
Yes, of course.
Okay. But you
Because
say
I-
of course.
I
but
do think
sometimes-
there's gonna be someone
I
who that,
have
that's
no
not
hope in these.
All right, so top 10 rookie quarterback rushing seasons in NFL history.
All right, Lamar and Cam.
Lamar is number 3. Cam is number 2.
RG3.
RG3.
is number 1.
Terrell Pryor.
Terrell Pryor's not on there.
That was a sharp, sneaky guess.
Deshaun
Deshaun Watt.
Watson.
Watson.
Deshaun.
All right, so we have 3 of them.
That makes me.
Who
we have
runs?
3 or 4?
Who runs the ball?
Russell Wilson.
Yeah, Russ
Russell
definitely
Wilson's
on there.
number 7.
Kyler.
Kyler Murray's number 6. So you still need 4, 5, 8, and then there's a tie at 9 for 9.
So we
Baker
did
didn't
4.
really run the ball.
No, Baker didn't run.
It's Trubisky.
We might have to go
That was
back.
good- that was a good guess.
Might have to go back a little bit here.
Jamarcus.
What's the oldest one on here?
And I really thought Terrell Pryor
It
would
doesn't have a year there, but they're all 2010 plus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we
Vince
don't
Young,
get, we don't have a
atrocious
Mike
throwing,
Vick or
No.
Randall Cunningham.
I'd have really thought that Terrell Pryor would be on there because that first, I don't know. I
He
remember if
didn't
it
play
was
his rookie year. It was his second year.
I was gonna say, 'cause I remember him having a
The
couple
90,
like 80. Yeah, I had a
yeah.
couple long runs.
Towards Pittsburgh.
Andrew Luck,
Andrew Luck's not on there. That's a good guess, but no, he's not on there.
Herbo, Justin Herbert,
No.
Josh Allen.
Josh
Yeah,
Allen's number
Isaiah's
4.
kinda-
Daniel Jones, Loki?
Yeah, Daniel.
No, that's a good
Uh,
guess, but no. He didn't start the first couple games. Didn't they
Has
start?
Jaden Daniels
I
already
feel like
passed
he-
it?
No.
Has
feel
he
like
got on there?
DJ ran more like as his career went on too.
Mariota.
Not Mariota.
Jalen
Really?
Hurts.
By the
Jalen-
way, you have
oh,
to
no, he
eclipse
didn't start
419 rushing yards.
Okay, so
And
Jalen
Mariota
Hurts,
didn't have that.
Jalen Hurts would
He
be
had
on
like
there, right?
that 80-yard rush, but he didn't. I don't know.
Here's a sneaky one. Wentz.
No.
Hurts isn't on here because he didn't play his rookie year.
This is not. I mean, so you still need.
Dak?
Yeah, Dak.
No.
What the
Yes,
heck?
but no.
I'm
No.
going through year by
You
year.
need
I'm
5,
trying to
8,
go
and then a
to
tie at
my
9.
team.
Teddy Bridgewater?
Geno Smith. Did he start his
Yeah, he
rookie year
did.
for
Yeah.
Jets?
He
that's
threw like
not-
21 picks.
Trash. Johnny Manziel.
Played 2 games.
Brandon Whedon.
I'm thinking of quarterbacks
You
that
want to hit
run.
for one of the guys?
Huh?
You
No,
wanna hit
not
for
yet,
one of the
not
guys?
yet.
Okay.
We have 6.
What do we need? 3
You
more?
need 4 more.
4 more?
You need
Jeez,
5,
we're
8,
doing
and
bad.
then a tie.
Giants, it's DJ now.
No.
Cowboys, Dak, no.
It's not going to be anyone on there.
Eagles,
it's not gonna be
Hurts,
the
no.
Eagles.
None
It's
of
not
these
gonna be-
guys are on the rosters
They got
that they were
RG3.
drafted to.
Okay. Let's
Two-
think.
Not Darnold.
2, 3 of these guys are not even in the league anymore.
Count not the Packers,
Jake
not
Walker.
the Vikings,
No, he didn't play his rookie year.
not the
Who's-
Lions, not the Bears.
No, he didn't play his rookie year.
Who else had the no? Because that was color for a
It's
while.
NFC South, not the
Falcons.
Bucks, not the Falcons.
Fields.
Fields.
Yeah,
He's
Fields,
number
yeah.
8. So now you need 5 and then the tie at 9.
Falcons.
Let's think.
Fields played his whole rookie season, right? Am I remembering that
Well,
wrong?
I think he might have.
Almost.
I think
Dalton
he
played
would've
the
been
first
15.
couple or something.
Panthers, you got Cam.
And he had 420, by the way. Just
West, Niners, Seahawks. Got Russ. Cardinals, Kyler.
Kaepernick.
He guessed that.
Oh, did he guess that?
Yeah. He did.
Okay. Go ahead.
Hannah?
You want to hit for number 5?
Bortles.
Bortles, dude, what a pull.
I was
Yes,
just
he
going
was
through
tied
the
for
teams.
9th.
I thought for
Bortles
sure
on
he
there,
wouldn't
so we
be
need
in.
2 more.
Bortles was on there.
All right,
so
so
you
it's
need
the
2
hit
more.
for
You have one of the guys
Oh,
from 9,
9.
and then you need the
From 09?
No.
No.
Tie the tie.
Yeah.
I was going to say 09 was like Sanchez.
No. The one guy,
Do the hint for the 9th guy.
you have a first round pick and a second round pick.
Okay. First
The
round
fifth-
pick. We
the
should be.
5th overall on here is the first round pick.
None of them were
It's not
current.
Drew Lock, is it?
KP.
No. And if I tell you the school he's in, you're gonna get it.
Okay.
So it's a tiny school.
No, I'm saying if I tell you the school, you're gonna get it.
So, but that means, has there?
Vince Young?
Oh my!
You
did I not
said
say that?
post 2010.
I-
He was 2006. That's
He
cheating.
was okay. I
Who
was
did I
mistaken.
say?
Yeah, I was gonna. I was
Were you
like,
gonna say Vince Young? Was he? Did
Maybe
he pop
at
in
some
your head at some
point.
Did I not
well,
say Vince
not after
Young?
you said
Who did I
2010.
say?
You said 2010, and I was.
I
just
always
said
mixed up
Vince
on
Young.
what.
All right, so we got a second round pick, tied for 9th, sitting around what, like 400 and some change.
419.
And this is the 9th place one.
Yeah,
Second
tied
round
for
pick.
9th with Bortles.
Second round.
Bortles-esque type runner. What? What's something about that? Deshaun Kaiser.
It is Deshaun Kaiser. It's Deshaun Kaiser.
What a pull.
Well, earlier
When you said
when you
Deshaun,
said
that was the
Deshaun-
only
yeah.
one, but I was like, I just think
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I was
You
like
said
thinking
Deshaun,
D
and then you guessed Baker.
S-H-A-U-N.
I didn't guess Baker.
You guys,
We,
I
somebody
guessed
you
Baker.
guys
we
Baker
were
earlier,
talking about Baker.
and I was gonna say no, but there's. a
Well, I was
Browns
joking.
quarterback
I was like,
on
when he
here.
said John, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, Brandon Whedon.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's just list up.
Yeah.
But I didn't even think
There's
about
It's
John-
that.
interesting to see those names because there's
So
probably
bad.
like 4 guys in there that you're just like, they were on this list.
So
They were
surprised,
on the
yeah.
Baltimore.
But then Mariota's not.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Buddy ran for that many yards. It's
He
kinda
had
wild.
to. He was running for his life.
He was.
He couldn't throw the ball for his life.
And then
so
Joe
I-
Thomas.
He was a second round pick, right? I'm not mistaken.
He was.
Yeah,
Because
from
he was
Notre
the same
Dame.
year as
He's
Mahomes.
Notre Dame. He was so bad.
Mahomes, Trubisky, and Deshaun Watson. He was that 4th quarterback who was a fringe first rounder.
Legendary.
Yeah.
Oh, and 16.
Hey, he did his part to win that final game against Pittsburgh. Corey Coleman dropped the ball.
Hey man, we put together a
Corey
clinic
Coleman, another
1
guy.
in 31 or yeah 1 in 30.
RG3, shout out for that one victory.
Yes, that's right.
Open the coolers.
You remember who they beat?
Chargers Christmas Christmas Eve.
I was at Pizza Hut.
Philip Rivers.
Those are my-
That was
Christmas
I remember that was the season the Chargers were losing because they couldn't kick field goals.
Mm.
They were losing every close game because their special teams unit was so bad.
You remember who their kicker was?
Nick Folk.
Was it really?
I think I don't know.
See with the Jags?
No.
Was it Ryan Suckup?
No,
okay.
is it Novak?
Novak was the kicker before
Yo.
this year.
It was Josh Scobie, wasn't it?
Probably.
No, he came from
No.
the Jags.
It was.
Oh,
It
yeah.
wasn't Novak.
He's still in the league. He's one of the better kickers in the league right now.
Joey Sly?
No, he didn't play for the Chargers.
Yeah.
I kept a straight face for the beginning of that. One of the better kickers in the league.
He was only the kicker for the Chargers to begin the season.
There's no way.
I thought you
AFC or NFC?
currently
Yeah.
NFC.
I'm cheating.
I'll give you guys who I think ends up.
Later.
The guy who the guy who ends up taking over for him is Josh Lambo. I don't know if you guys
Oh,
remember
it's
that.
Oh, I
It's
thought that
young.
was the name.
No,
It's Young
Young Wei Koo. Yep, Young Wei Koo.
Yeah,
Wow.
I did know that.
I think it said Lambo missed, right?
Well, I was talking about that year
Oh.
because he was like talking about it.
Yeah, then Lambo missed.
Yeah. Lambo ends up because Lambo actually had an alright career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, good episode.
He's the highest paid kicker, isn't he?
Koo?
Yeah, yeah.
I think Tucker is. I think they no,
But they
it's
were
Bucker. Bucker got
Oh, that's
repaid
right.
this
He
year.
just got
Yeah. Good episode.
Is he the one that said those things?
He didn't say anything. He didn't watch the video.
This has been the
Watch
second
it.
short podcast. See you next time.
Yes, sir.